Hello, chillins. It's Mr. Brooks again with a book of the day. An old friend of ours, Horton, from Horton Hatches the Egg. This one is Horton Hears a Who. Remember Horton the elephant? Before we start, eyes watching, ears listening, voices quiet, body calm. Horton Hears a Who. On the 15th of May, in the jungle of Newell, in the heat of the day and the cool of the pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys, when Horton the elephant, he heard a small noise. So Horton stopped splashing. He looked towards the sound. That's funny, thought Horton. There's no one around. Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp, as if some tiny person were calling, "Help! Help!" "I'll help you," said Horton, "but who are you? Where?" He looked and he looked. He could see nothing there, but a small speck of dust blowing past him in the air. That's right there, look. Whoever was yelling was there. That is so small. "I say," said Horton, "I've never heard tell of a small speck of dust that is able to yell. So you know what I think? What I think that I must be someone on top of that small speck of dust. Some sort of creature of very small size. Too small to be seen by this elephant's eyes. Some poor little person who's shaking with fear. He'll blow in the pool. He has no way to steer. I'll just have to save him, because, after all, a person is a person, no matter how small." So gently, using the greatest of care, the elephant stretched his great trunk in the air. He lifted the dust speck and carried it over. He planted it down, safe on a very soft clover. A clover's a little plant. "Humph," said a voice. It was a sour kangaroo, and the young kangaroo in her pouch said humph too. "Why, that speck is as small as the head of a pin. A person on that? There never has been." "Believe me," said Horton, "I'll tell you sincerely. My eyes are quite keen, and I've heard him quite clearly. I know there's a person down there, and what's more, quite likely there's two, even three, even four. Quite likely a family, for all that we know, a person with children just starting to grow. So please, please, as a favor to me, try not to disturb them. Just let my family be." Look, there's the family. "I think you're a fool," said the sour kangaroo. And the young kangaroo in the pouch said, "Me too. You're the biggest blamed fool in the jungle of Newell." And the kangaroos plunged into the cool of the pool. "What terrible splashing!" the elephant frowned. "I can't let my very small persons get drowned. I've got to protect them. I'm bigger than they." So he plucked up the clover and he hustled away. Through the high jungle treetops, the news quickly spread. "He talks to a dust speck. He's out of his head. Just look at him walk with that speck on that flower." And Horton walked worrying for almost an hour. "Should I put this speck down?" Horton thought with alarm. "If I do, these small persons may come to great harm. I can't put it down, and I won't after all. A person is a person, no matter how small." Then Horton stopped walking, and the speck voice was talking. The voice was so faint he could just barely hear it. "Speak up, please," said Horton, and he put his ear near it, and he heard this. "My friend," came the voice, "you're a very fine friend. You helped save us all our folks on this dust speck to no end. You saved all our houses, our ceilings and floors. You saved all our churches. You saved all our grocery stores." "You mean," Horton gasped, "you have buildings there too?" "Oh, yes," cried the voice, "we most certainly do." "I know," called the voice, "I'm too small to be seen, but I'm mayor of a town that is friendly and clean. Our big buildings to you would seem terribly small, but to us, who aren't big, they are wonderfully tall. My town is called Whoville, and I am a Who, and we are Who's are all thankful, and we are grateful to you. Horton called back to the mayor of the town, "You're safe now, don't worry. I won't put you down." But as he spoke to the mayor of the speck, 3 big jungles climbed up Horton's neck. They were the Wickersham brothers. They came shouting, "What rot! This elephant's talking to Who's Who or they're not. They aren't any Who's. They don't have a mayor, and we're going to stop all this nonsense." So there, look, they were climbing up to grab the Who little village out of his trunk. They snatched Horton's clover. They carried it off to a big-bottomed eagle named Vladikoff, a mighty strong eagle and very swift wing. He said, "Will you kindly take care of this thing?" And before the elephant even could speak, the eagle flew off with the flower in his beak. He's going to fly away with the whole little village of Whoville. All that late afternoon and far into the night, the black-bottomed bird flipped his wings in fast flight while Horton chased after with groans over stones. They tattered his toenails and battered his bones, and they begged, "Please don't harm my little folks who have as much right to live as bigger folks do." But far, far beyond him, the eagle kept flapping, and over his shoulder he called back, "Oh, you quit your yapping! I'll fly the night through. I'm a bird. I don't mind it, and I'll hide this tomorrow. And then you'll never find it." He's going to hide the whole little Who village. At 6:56, the next morning he did. It sure was a terrible place that he hid. He let out the small clover, dropped somewhere inside of a great patch of clovers 100 mile wide. "Find that," said the bird. "I think you will fail." And he left with a flip of his black-bottomed tail. Look, he dropped the clover into all the other clovers. Horton could never find it in all the other ones. "I shall find it," cried Horton. "I'll find it or bust. I shall find my friends on my small speck of dust." And clover by clover and clover with care, he picked up and searched them, and he called, "Are you there?" But clover by clover by clover he found that the one he thought was just not to be found. And by noon, poor old Horton, more dead than alive, had picked, searched, and piled up 9,005. That's a lot of clovers. Then, on through the afternoon, hour after hour, till he found them at last on the 3 millionth flower. "My friends," cried the elephant, "tell me, do tell, are you safe? Are you sound? Are you whole? Are you well?" He was so happy that he found them. Look at him. From down on the speck came the voice of the mayor. "We really had trouble, much more than our share. When that black-bottomed birdie let go and we dropped, we landed so hard that our clocks have all stopped. Our teapots are broken, our rocking chair smashed, and our bicycle tires blew up and we crashed. So Horton, please," said the voice of the mayor, "will you stick by the Who's while we're making repairs?" "Of course," Horton answered. "Of course I will stick. I'll stick by you folks through thin and through thick." He was a faithful elephant, wasn't he? "Humph," humphed a voice. "For almost 2 days you've run wild and insisted on chatting with persons who never existed. Such carryings on in our peaceable jungle. We've had quite enough of your bellowing bungle, and I'm here to state," snapped the big kangaroo, "that your silly nonsensical game is all through." And this young kangaroo and her pouch said, "Me too." They think he's fooling that there's nobody on that clover. Well, with the help of the Wickersham brothers and dozens of Wickersham's uncles and Wickersham cousins and Wickersham in-laws whose help is I've engaged, you're going to be roped, you're going to be caged. And as for your dust speck, that we shall boil in a hot steaming kettle of bezelnut oil. Why are they being so mean to these little creatures? Because they can't see them, they don't think they're alive. "Boil it," said Horton. "You can't do that. It's full of small persons." "I'll prove it to you." "Mr. Mayor," Horton called. "Mr. Mayor, you've got to prove that you really are there. So call a big meeting, get everyone out, Make every who holler, make every who shout, make every who scream. If you don't, every who is going to end up in a bezelnut stew. So get loud. And down on the dust speck, the scared little mayor, quick called a big meeting in Whoville Town Square, and his people cried loudly. They crowd out in fear. We are here! We are here! We are here! We are here! The elephant smiled. That's as clear as a bell. The kangaroo surely heard that very well. All I heard, snapped the kangaroo, was the breeze and the faint sound of wind through the far distant trees. I heard no small voices, and you didn't either. And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, me neither. Grab him, they shouted. Grab that big dope. Lasso his stomach with 10 miles of rope. Tie the knot so tight it'll never shake loose. Then dump that dumb speck in the bezelnut juice. They're going to get rid of the whole town. Horton fought back with great vigor and vim, but the Wickersham gang was too many for him. They beat him, they mauled him, they started to haul him into his cage, but he managed to call to the mayor, don't give up, I believe in you all. A person's a person, no matter how small. You are very small persons, will not have to die if you make yourselves heard. So come on now, yell hard, try. The mayor grabbed the tom-tom. He started to smack it. Boom, 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 boom. All over Whoville, they whooped up a racket. They racket tin kettles, bing, bing, bing. They beat on brass pans, on garbage pail tops, and old cranberry cans. They blew on bazookas and blasted great toots, on clarinets, oompas, and boompas, and flutes. They were making all the noise they can. Great gusts of loud racket rang high through the air. They rattled and shook in the whole sky, and the mayor called up through the howling hullabaloo, Hey, Horton, how's this? Is our sound coming through? And Horton called back, I can hear you just fine, but the kangaroo's ears aren't as strong quite as mine. They don't hear a thing. Are you sure all your boys are doing their best? Are they all making noise? Are you sure every who down in Whoville is working? Quick, look to your town. Is there anyone shirking? He makes sure everybody has to call so they can hear him. Well, through the town rushed the mayor from east to the west, but everyone seemed to be doing his best. Everyone seemed to be yapping or yipping. Everyone seemed to be beeping or bipping. It wasn't enough, all this ruckus and roar. He had to find someone who could make much more. He raced through each building. He searched floor to floor. He needed them to make more noise. And just as he felt he was getting nowhere, almost about to give up in despair, he suddenly burst through the door. The mayor discovered one shirker, one hidden away. In the Fairfax apartments, actually it was apartment 12D, a very small, very timid shirker named Jojo was standing there just smiling and dancing a yo-yo. Not making a sound, not a yip, not a chirp, and the mayor rushed inside and he grabbed the young twerp. And he climbed with the lad up on Eiffelberg Tower. This, cried the mayor, is your town's darkest hour. It's time for the who's of all blood that is red to come to the aid of their country, he said. We've got to make noises in great amounts, so open your mouth. Every voice counts. Then he spoke as he climbed. When they got to the top, the lad closed his throat and he shouted, Yop! And that yop, that small extra yop put it over. Finally, at last, from the speck of clover, their voices were heard. They rang out clear and clean. The elephant smiled, Do you see what I mean? And they proved they are persons, no matter how small, for their whole world would save by the smallest of all. How true, yes, how true, said the big kangaroo. And from now on, you know what I'm planning to do? From now on, I'm going to protect them with you. And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, Me too. From sun in the summer, from rain when it's fallish, I'm going to protect them from now on, no matter how smallish. The end. Well, Horton once again was a good, friendly elephant. He saved all the little ones, even though people couldn't see him. So if you came across a very small anthill and you heard somebody saying, "Help, help, help," would you smash the anthill or would you help them out and bring them somewhere safe? What would you do? Think it over. Okay? I'll be back tomorrow. Remember, be good to your parents and wash your hands. Bye-bye.